on Get Up, we are going to focus on the potential for some misery in Minnesota with the two superstars in Minneapolis. Let's start with Ann Edwards, who in an interesting move offered up congratulations to the Spurs bench with 8 minutes still remaining in a blowout loss on Game 6 Friday night, sort of waving the white flag. He said the gesture was meant to acknowledge what he called the superior team, saying, quote, I mean, at that point, you ain't going back in, so you're just going to give them their respect. I can't make up my own mind what I thought of that, Jay. Well, what did you think of that? Ant giving him giving him the dap, you know, at that point in the game.
Well, I have a reason for that. And by the way, like watching tape, I was livid the other night. And I'm just going to go into this. Let's just show some clips of Julius Randle, who second best player in the team.
Yeah.
Look at some of this effort that you're going to see defensively. And I'm going to take you through a litany of them. Oh, who's the most important person with the ball? Oh, the guy with the ball.
Right.
Castle, nowhere close on the play. Oh, is there a screen? No, I'm just going to stay with Victor Wembanyama. I'm going to leave the ball. You're leaving the ball. You're leaving the ball. Oh, another play. Oh, don't worry. I'll leave the ball again. Literally, the next possession. I'm on the ball. No, I'm going to stay with Victor Wembanyama. Well, what the hell is going on? This is not a closeout scenario at home. And here comes another play at the end. I'm the last person back in the play. Can I block the shot? No. I'll give a half-ass effort. Literally, there were 25 plays I watched yesterday of these kind of efforts. And the whole conversation was about Anthony Edwards coming over and giving up the dap to San Antonio Spurs. You know why he did it, Greeny?
Yeah.
Because they played together. Because he was livid. He was disgusted with the way his team played in a closeout scenario. So you know what he wanted to do? He wanted to get his ass off that court. So a lot of the old school fellas will say to you, well, hey, that's not the way you should do it, young fella. You competed to the end. But when you're competing by yourself, and when you hear players like Naz Reid or Dante DiVincenzo talk about our team is moodiness, they're moody, they're talking about Julius Randle. It was unacceptable behavior by the Minnesota Timberwolves. I feel horrible for the way they played. Anthony Edwards is one of the most competitive dudes on this planet. The fact that he checked out early lets you know that their team is not like a fierce unit the way the Spurs were.
What do you think of that?
Well, coming from Detroit, at least he shook their hands, and that way he won't be kept off the Olympic team. But I think when we look at Oklahoma City and San Antonio being the two teams that could dominate the Western Conference for the next half decade, could Anthony Edwards and his team get lost to time? With Rudy Gobert and his age and Julius Randle, and there's no move on the horizon unless they get Giannis that says, hey, we're going to be right up there with them, he could wind up being the guy that gets lost to it just because he does not have the infrastructure, like you're talking about, the team unity and togetherness that those other franchises have.
Well, supposedly there's a lot of talk around Giannis potentially to Minnesota, and maybe that crept into the locker room with who's on the trade block.
Okay, that's really, really good insight. I'm glad that we did it and took a moment for that because it was all the attention goes on Edwards, and did he do something wrong? And what you're saying is you think in his own way he was sending a message, what we got here just isn't enough. So they bow out. That's one situation in Minneapolis. Here's another one. Justin Jefferson, Vikings star receiver, on Good Morning Football on Friday, talking about what he's most excited for in the upcoming night, Game 7. Eastern Conference second round. Pistons never lost a Game 7 at home, taking on the Cavs. Final seconds of the quarter, Jay Will, Donovan Mitchell beats the buzzer.
He was aggressive at the start of the game, getting other people involved, played inside out, and then his shots start coming around, and boy, did it really go next level in the third quarter.
The next level, really, Vinny Goodwill, was the interior. Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen dominating for Cleveland.
I know people laugh when you say Evan Mobley is a generationally talented big, but he showed every single asset of what he could do. 6 assists in addition to 21-12.
That one gave the Cavs a 16-point lead, a minute to play before the half. Ooh. Look at the moves here from Spider Mitchell and a nice dish.
Yeah, Greeny, unfortunately, it was not just the Pistons' imagination. It was real that the Cavs were having their way with them. They dominated in the paint in this
17-point lead at halftime, and then more. Jay Will, look at Mitchell getting to the rack.
They're just so good at slicing and dicing. Plus, they had a 20-plus free throw attempt advantage in this ball.
Watch this move.
Come
Step
on.
back. Donovan Mitchell, 26.
Come on.
26.6 rebounds, 8 assists. Kept waiting for a Pistons run. It never came. There'll be better days ahead for Cade Cunningham, who's a young superstar in this league, but this night belonged to the Cavaliers in a huge way. They're the third team in NBA postseason history to win a Game 7 on the road by 30 points. It happened in 1948 and then it happened 4 years ago. Remember that game when Dallas beat the Suns? The Suns were never the same again. Here's Donovan Mitchell on finally making it to his first conference final.
A breath of fresh air, but like you said, we didn't just come here that wasn't the goal when we started the season. Personally and as a team, we can breathe a little bit, but in the same token, we can only breathe for about 12 hours and then get right back to it.
That game sucked. Being back home, definitely wanted to get this win in front of the fans. Reminded me of last year, losing on the home court. It's not a great feeling.
All right, so the win man is from Cleveland or parts thereabouts, and Vinny is from Detroit or parts thereabouts. So let's get the quick takes on this one. Wendy, as the Cavs advance through this and make it to New York for tomorrow night, what are the right things to say about them after that Game 7 performance?
Look, Donovan Mitchell was on the line here. He had never made it to the conference finals. He had not played great for much of this series. They needed him to deliver in a Game 7 or he was going to hear about it all summer, and he did. There were two key game plan things that the Cavs did with Donovan Mitchell. Number one, they did everything in their power to get Asar Thompson off of him. It was a great compliment to the Pistons, but also showed where their vulnerabilities are. And they wanted to play through their big men. Donovan Mitchell averaged over 6 assists a game in the regular season. He was averaging less than 3 in the playoffs. He had 3 assists in the first 4 possessions for the Cavs. He was a playmaker. He was a scorer. He played with urgency. Donovan Mitchell was a verified superstar in a road Game 7, and now for the first time, he's in the conference finals.
He is indeed. And then on the other side, there's Cade Cunningham. There will be no Cade Cunningham slander allowed in my presence anywhere. I think that kid is tremendous. I think he is and is going to be a great player. But as I watch them, and I'm curious your perspective, I don't think they have the second best player on a title contending team. And that's not an easy thing to find. I think he's the right piece. I think they need one more. You tell me what we should be thinking about them as they go into their offseason.
Well, you look at the way that they played in the playoffs. When you go down 3-1 in the first round, you are fighting from underwater from that point on. So, yeah, you saw a tired team last night, but you also saw a team whose flaws were laid bare. Jalen Duren, can he be the second best player on the team with Cade Cunningham? I think we saw the answer to that. Duncan Robinson, Tobias Harris, those were not players who you were going to be asking to make NBA Finals runs. The Pistons didn't make any significant trade deadline moves to signify, hey, we're going for it right now. So this is still a young team that 2 years ago won 14 games, and they have made market leaps in the past couple of years, but there's a lot of questions, and you got to find that second guy.
I think as it relates to Detroit, they're on the right trajectory. I mean, as you just said before, right? 2 years ago, how many games did they win?
14.
14. So obviously there's room for growth. Tobias Harris, when they were winning, was scoring 20 plus per night. Right, so finding that consistency. Jalen Duren, what is 22 years old?
Yeah.
You're still watching him take his licks as well. And you're right. I think there is an additional piece, but this team is still going to be knocking on the door in the Eastern Conference.
This is Michael Wilbon's playoff pain. Like last year against the Knicks, that was his experience.
Yeah.
This is real life expectations, disappointment at the crib, and decisive.
Yeah.
You cannot fool yourself going into the offseason thinking that you're close.
Here's my thing though. Like there is no like, I don't know, insert buy shop for a two-way guy that defends and is going to fit perfectly. Like, they're going to have to get creative as they go looking for that second star. And what are you willing to give? You're going to have more firepower. Most likely your defense is going to take a hit. But how important is the chemistry that they have developed as they have come back from seasons where they run less than 15 games?
So we get Cleveland and the Knicks. We get San Antonio and OKC. The conference finals start tonight with the West. Our series